My name is Kubi Springer. I'm a brand specialist. So there's the power of the top 9. Now, every 9 squares on your Instagram should be reinforcing your brand promise, your brand mission, vision, values, and archetype. So I've put mine up just so we can play a little game. I can see you've got your phone out, so if your eyes are as bad as mine, feel free to go online and have a little look. But you can see that the top 9 squares reinforces everything that I have said about my brand. When I first came up here, what was the first thing I did? What was the first slide that I had on when I came up? Anybody remember? Other than my daughter? Brands. Good. One of my values is results. It's a value of mine. There's a lot of people in my space that talk about branding and they've never worked for a brand. And I'm like, I'm confused. How are you qualified? So because I'm constantly on social media, one of my values is results. And so if you look at my Instagram, the top 9 squares and every 9 square after then shows results. So it happens that Sky's on there, Harper's Bazaar is on there. If you clicked on the middle one, that's Stylist Live, results. And if you went down the next 9 squares, you would see a post that was results. And if you went down the next 9 squares, you'd see a post that was results. Because what I'm doing is I'm reinforcing without you even realizing, core, she delivers. The second thing in the 9 squares is what I'm promising. I'm not promising you marketing. I'm not promising you the 12 brand archetypes. What I'm promising you is possibility. I'm promising you that if you work with me or if you stand at the back and hear me speak, that even if you only grab 2 seconds of what I say, there is a possibility that your brand can be successful, can rise despite all the challenges. That's what I'm promising you. And so when you scroll, what you see is that possibility. And within the possibility is the fact that I'm a mum. How many times have I mentioned my daughter in this chat? Maybe 3 times. Why? Because a lot of my followers, a lot of the people who book me for corporate gigs are women. Are women who are the same age and stage as me, in their 40s, thinking, is it possible? These bloody 3 kids, can I really do it? And I'm here to tell you, yes, you can. And so as you're scrolling and you see my daughter pop up and I'm working out in the gym and you hear me say, oh God, another squat. And then she's next to me going, come on, mummy, we can do it. It's reinforcing possibility. The other thing that I'm promising you is that when you work with me as a consultant, that I have a global perspective and I have global clients. And so as you scroll every 9 squares, you are going to see something that I'm doing around the world. It is not about taking pretty pictures of your products. It is not about being clever with your creativity. Creativity that doesn't drive commerce is nonsense. So you need to look at the psychology of branding. And if you're team or on Instagram, there's the power of the 9 squares. What are you promising? What is your values? What is your mission? What is your brand archetype? And they should feel it at every stage. Again, another study that came out of Harvard Business School talks about the 3 areas of building relationships. They call them the 3 tiers. Tier number 1 is your operational networks. We all have them, people who we work with on a day-to-day basis. If you have teams, that's part of your operational networks. We have them every day. Your supply chain, part of your operational networks. But then you have your personal network. Most of us do not use our personal network to build our brands. Here's one of my funny stories. I had a real desire to speak at Barclays Bank. I was like, oh, I'd love to get Barclays on my books. I've spoke at Santander, I've spoke for NatWest, I've spoke for Deloitte. Oh, it'd be so good to speak for Barclays. Don't know why I wanted to, I just did. And for about 3 years, I was telling my team, get me a connection at Barclays. I can go and do a keynote. And then one day, it was a Sunday, I went for lunch with my cousin. She was telling me about her promotion. She said, oh yeah, I happened to get a promotion at Barclays. Well, I'm an idiot, aren't I? Here's my cousin in the head office at Barclays in Canary Wharf, and I've been trying for 3 years to get in at Barclays Bank. Most of us ignore our personal networks. We don't want to talk about work. Keep it quiet. Let's not say anything. Don't tell them what we're trying to do. No. The very people who love you are the ones who really want you to win. And so I'd encourage you to connect with your personal networks. And then lastly, your strategic networks. I remember when I started doing global business, I had this thing where I wanted to go to the country and run back home to be a good wife and a good mummy. But my husband, on the other hand, would do the same flight and be there for like 7 days when I was only there for 3 days. I remember thinking, hold on, this picture's not very right, is it? And I said to him one day, I said, babe, what exactly are you doing while you need to be there for 7 days when you've only got a 2-day meeting? I go for my 2-day meeting, I stay on the 3rd day to do an extra work, and then I come right back. And he taught me something that changed the game. He said, the problem with you is you're so busy trying to be a busy mum that you're missing out on the meetings. He said, you're missing out on the deals that happen in the golf course. You're missing out on the deals that happen at lunch, in the lunchroom, because all you want to do is go and come back. I was not being strategic. And I really want to just speak to the women in the room. Why? Because sisters, we're doing it. Couldn't help it, sorry. Okay, I want to speak to the women in the room for a moment. We get told that in order to have it all, we can't have it all. That's what we get told. We get told that having it all is an oxymoron. How could you possibly be a great wife, a great mum, and a businesswoman and be successful? It's not true. And I'm here to tell you it really is. We just got to be strategic with it. We've got to understand that actually business does not happen in the boardroom. It happens through the relationships. The old boys network is really, and I say this all the time and people frown at me, so I know you might. I'm a black woman. It's less about racism and sexism, and it's much more about nepotism. I'm going to say it again, as a black woman. It is less about racism and sexism and more about nepotism. Who do they know? That's who they hire. The challenge is that we're not in the room. And so if we're not in the room doing the strategic deals, how do we get hired? How do we get the connections? How do we create the relationships, not just the contacts? And so I'm conscious of time as I get the wrap up. When you're connecting, I'd love for you to take this away. It's not something I created. It's something that I heard from Simon Sinek, one of the best marketeers that's out there, which is the know, like, trust, and sell. I really want you to think about how is it that you be the person that's in the room that knows more about others than you promote yourself. So often people say to me, Kubi, I hate networking. They hate networking because they think that networking is about going up and saying, hi, my name's Kubi Springer, and selling themselves. It is not. It's about going, hi, my name's Kubi Springer. What do you do? That's amazing. Tell me more. Really? Wow. I'd love to connect you with someone. Oh my gosh, how did you start that? It's about being the person who asks the questions and is in the know. Then it's about being the person that they can trust to make the dots. It's about being able to say to a supplier, I know we're going into a recession. I can connect you with this other person as a strategic partnership because it's going to help your business. Because next year when you need that very supplier, they'll say, oh, thank you so much for that contact. By the way, I can give you 15% off or whatever the deal is you need. It's not about selling. It's about connecting. And lastly, it's about having a follow-up strategy. During the pandemic, I sat down with a really good friend of mine and we said, how do we ensure that the relationships that we have get embedded? And we came up with a really simple idea that I have carried all the way through. Ready for it? Friday cocktails online. Simple idea. I lock off work at 3 o'clock on a Friday. And I just think, who in my network do I want to connect with and have a Teams call or a Zoom or face-to-face now and have a mocktail or a cocktail? And I've done it every Friday since the pandemic started. And the doors it has opened. Why? Because I'm not calling them up, asking them for anything. Just saying, hey, how are you? How's it going? What are the challenges you're facing? How can I help you? Who do you need? How can I connect you? What door do you need? And as a result, givers gain. So as you leave here today and you continue to go around this amazing event, what I really want you to do is be the person who connects. Be the person who builds relationships, but is not necessarily the person that's asking for anything. And trust that in this journey, you will come out stronger.